Yeah, I know several students that switched from pre-med.
I think that people switch because it's very difficult. And if you aren't 100% sure that that's what you want to do, why would you put yourself through the suffering? If it was this hard for me to be a journalist major, I would not keep doing it because I don't have an interest in journalism.
Yeah.
It's just like they go into it thinking this is what I want, and then they actually get into how hard the classes are, and they go, never mind.
People usually don't get like 2 years in and switch. It's usually after that first semester that most people make the switch.
Yeah.
Because it's like if one class is too hard, they're like, oh gosh.
Majority of people just pursue a doctorate profession, a medical doctorate profession for the money, less for the moral perspective of it, such as saving lives and helping people. I think people switch because they come in and they see how difficult it is, and then they think this is not worth it. I think the people that stick around are people that are actually interested in medicine and will make the necessary sacrifice and put in the appropriate amount of work, which is a lot of time and lots of sacrifices.
People in Gen Chem would be like, I'm going to be a pediatric neurosurgeon. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. But I think those people are no longer pre-med. But I never like paid attention to that or tried not to.
There's this one girl, she was a bio major, but she only like wanted to be a doctor for the money and like not because she like cared about medicine at all and like had any aspirations in it. So she like slowly like went from like bio to health science to like psych to business to SEC, and now she like is a comm major and she's like
completely like done. It's important to get the perspective of an instructor who's taught many pre-med students over the years. This professor, who's to remain anonymous, states, yes, the vast majority of pre-med students change their minds before the beginning of their senior year. A lot of the reasons they change their minds have to do with the realization that their academic performance won't get them into med school, or they heard that being a PA is more fun and easier. Sadly, a lot of students who decide to pursue the PA route would have actually been more happy as MDs. Physician assistants' work is often just as busy as a doctor's, but at a fraction of the pay. And the professor frequently tries to tell them this, but pop culture makes PA look sexy and MD look scary, and it's hard to convince students otherwise. The Department of Education conducted a study between 2003 and 2009 regarding the percent distribution of beginning bachelor degree students in STEM and non-STEM majors. 63.8% of students entered their first year as a STEM major, but only 36.2% remained after the first year. Non-STEM majors had the opposite trend. 35.5% of students started as a humanities major in their first year, but this number jumped to 67.3% at the end of the first year. The number of students in STEM after their first year cut almost in half.
I think that the whole everything being dependent on just your GPA, and I know people will say, oh, it's well-rounded, but like, let's be real. If you come in with a 3.2 GPA, they're not even going to read it. Yeah. Like, they don't care that you volunteered and saved the world and whatever, because they're just going to throw your application away because your GPA is not to like their lowest bracket.
What are your thoughts on majoring in STEM to apply to medical or pre-health schools? Do you think it's necessary, beneficial? Will it help you in any way?
Oh, I bet Joshua had such a good answer for this question.
He did.
So I'm a double major in philosophy and kinesiology, or applied human physiology, because they want us to sound smarter even though we're just as dumb as we ever were. Someone told me, Joshua, it's good that you chose a philosophy major, because philosophy majors are the majors that tend to get into medical school like the highest. They're saying that the probability of the group is applying to your probability across time. That's an error, right?
Yeah, I'm going to nod and pretend that I'm following.
But like, think about that though, because imagine if what they're saying is true. That means just by choosing the major, you are going to learn the skill set that is required to take a philosophy major and take all your prereq classes, which assumes that you have a certain kind of time management, a certain kind of study habits, a certain kind of interest in medicine to where you wouldn't be distracted by your philosophy classes.
My major is biochemistry and molecular biology, and my minor is health science. Like, obviously, bio majors and biochemistry majors, we kind of take the classes that cover all of our bases, and that's really good for us. But at the same time, I have this old friend, her uncle is a plastic surgeon. He was an art history major, and the reason that they took him in for an interview was to ask him about it. They were like, so you're an art history major, and you, like, took all these prereqs, and now, like, why are you here? That can set you apart, for sure, but it's also kind of a risk, because you have to kind of pile on basically like a STEM major on top of your major. We're having to study so much and spend so much of our time like in school. If we don't even get adjusted to like a biochemistry or bio load, then how are we gonna like make that jump from like an art major to like a medical student, you know?
Yeah.
For me, like, I wouldn't really want to major in anything besides STEM because that's more so what I'm interested in. My major was not decided based off being pre-med. It was decided off what I wanted to learn about.
I think majoring in STEM may better prepare you. Course load and the workload is meant to weed out students who don't really want to do it or can't handle the workload, sadly, and I don't agree with this mentality. What was or is the hardest part of the pre-med track for you?
The amount of time you have to spend studying and the amount of time that you have to dedicate every single day.
Staying disciplined and staying motivated, because it's so easy to get like so tired and so like burnt out.
Definitely finding a balance in some kind of way, shape, or form.
One is obviously doing well, but I think another one is like keeping your soul throughout the process.
To get into medical school nowadays, you need to do well at everything.
Have to let something go because I like need a day for myself. So I think it's hard to keep the energy to like do it all.
This is the mistake I always did because, oh, I'm a guy, I'm so tough, I'm so alpha, I don't have feelings. That's such a lie. My first OChem exam, you remember what I told you? What did I tell you?
Didn't you cry and you curl up
I
in the
cried
ball?
because we tie up our identity with our performance.
Mm-hmm. What is the best part about the pre-med tracker culture?
There's so many good things too. I know, I feel like I just like bagged on it.
If you have sort of gone through the pre-med track, you have been cultivating a skill set that will serve you very well, regardless of what you choose to do. You can tell who the pre-meds are in a GE class because they're the first ones to ask on the first day about the grade distribution, about when is this assignment due, or they're like, wait a minute, this homework assignment is due.
You just learn so much about yourself, about science, and in all different aspects that there are some major takeaways that you just carry with you the rest of your life. And when you finish a course, you're like, you know what, I did that. And you feel really proud of yourself.
Joshua and Zach and Angelina and Jeremy, like we know so many people in the class because of it. Because the classes are so difficult, you really do feel smart when you understand things.
Kind of like doing it for a common goal. And like, honestly, it is really hard and we are like all tired all the time and we complain with each other all the time. But at the end of the day, no one understands what we're going through like better than each other. Like me and McKenna, like we help each other.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're all three going to be great doctors in the future.
Yeah, I hope so.
The pre-med students represent a lot of different identities in pre-med culture as varying majors and years. Their responses added to the same big picture of the pre-med culture, yet each focused on a different facet that was especially notable to them. The pre-PA student debunked some students' reasons for switching from pre-med, which contrasts what the professor noticed. When asked to highlight the positives, the pre-meds all were very enthused with the collective "it's all worth it if you love it" mindset. However, overall the interviewees, both pre-med and outsiders, like the film student, emphasized the negatives. Each pre-med student said the pre-med culture was primarily negative due to tough classes, time commitment, and burnout. These reasons contradict the New York Times article, yet the pre-med students offer their own experiences, which is more revealing. Many students switch out, which corresponds to the Department of Education's findings of STEM attrition and what the pre-med students witnessed. The bond that ties anyone that's a part of the pre-med community together is just so strong. McKenna, Joshua, Angelina, Jeremy, my sister, professors, they're just so supportive and we go through it together.